So welcome everybody to the pre-camp meeting for Scouts BSA Resident Camp at Camp K. Really thankful that everybody's able to join us this evening. I've got a lot of things going on tonight, a lot of things obviously going on in the world that prevent us from doing our usual in-person meeting down in Milton, but definitely want to make sure that we're getting the information out to each and every one of you as quickly and effectively as we can. So this is the next best thing to being able to meet in person, and we'll definitely make the most out of it. A couple of quick things before we get started here. Housekeeping items. Let's see if I can project. There it is. Next slide. So throughout the time here that we have together, just ask that you keep your audio on mute. That way, we don't have any background noises or dogs barking or any feedback coming in from your speakers accidentally. It just helps be able to allow everybody to hear properly. If you're looking at the your projection there, there's a couple of options when you're looking at the view. So you either have the gallery view, which is kind of like the Brady Bunch with everybody in their little squares, or you have the speaker view. For the purposes of what we're doing tonight, the speaker view is going to be best. I have the slideshow going up here, and that's going to definitely be important, especially when we get into the black pug portion, where I'm going to actually be walking through a couple of different examples and showing you what the system is going to look like and what it does look like when you go in there. We are recording this tonight, so any questions that we answer in the group chat, anything that we go over, we are going to make sure that we're going to have a copy of this downloaded at the end, and will be made available. We're looking at getting those uploaded, whether it's to our council YouTube page or to another source, but we will be making this available, as well as compiling these PowerPoint slides, as well as a summary of the question and answer period on our website. And if you have any questions after the webinar, if we go through this and you think everything's great, but you're sharing it with somebody else or think of something later on tonight, please send me an email. jacob.horner@scouting.org is definitely the best way to get a hold of me. So we will get into our plan for tonight. Our quick agenda here. We're going to talk really briefly on the COVID-19. Obviously, that's impacting a lot of what we're doing in scouting and in the world, and really a whole bunch of things. So I'm going to touch base a little bit about what that means for us in a resident camp setting, what it means for us as a council, and some different things that are going on there. We'll talk about different facility updates that's happened to the camp since we've last had summer camp, some new things programmatically. We'll talk about our scout session registrations. That's when you're looking at your merit badges, your different program things. We're going to go walk through how to take care of that tonight. We'll review the Sunday check-in procedures and general reminders and information. And at the end, we're going to have a dedicated time for question and answer. A really important thing, again, with the question and answer, the best way that we're going to be able to do that is through the Zoom app, whether you're on your phone or whether you're in front of a computer. I believe it's on the bottom of an app, but definitely on your computer. On the bottom, there's a little chat box. If you click on that, it'll open up a text opportunity where you can type in a message, and you can see that Steve Everson has already helped out. He's typed in the first message there. If you have any questions throughout tonight, please enter them into there, whether it's something that I might be able to answer the questions on the fly as we're going through. If I don't get to it on the fly, I'll definitely be able to answer those questions at the end, and we can circle back to anything. There should also be a raise your hand feature. And so if you see that down in the bottom as well, if you want to interrupt, I will do my best to keep that. It doesn't really pop out in your face for the host as well as you think it would. But I will definitely do my best. I have that up, and we'll do what I can to help see those. But we'll definitely make sure that everybody is informed and has all the information that they need for a wonderful camping season. So getting into the big elephant in the room, or multiple rooms as it were. COVID-19 is here, it's a thing. Obviously under the direction of the CDC and Governor Wolf, our office, Camp K, we're all closed down. That just got extended with the governor's stay-at-home mandate through April 30th, I'm sorry. We are going to be keeping our office closed, our scout shop closed through April 30th. Camp K is also going to be closed for rentals or for the public to go in there We just want to make sure that we're staying socially distant. We're doing all those things. I can tell you that the district executives, myself, Dennis is Scout executive, we're all working remotely, as well as the support staff, Diane, Janice, and Cece. We're all working remotely. So if you have questions, I wouldn't recommend calling the office. We do have access to reach our voicemails there to get our messages, but it's not as quick and not as direct as if you have emails. Please just email us. If you don't have anybody else's email, feel free to message me with anything, and I can happily direct that to the appropriate person, just to make sure that, again, we're doing our best to help serve you during this uncertain time. We want to make sure that whatever we're doing, that we are practicing our social distancing methods, making sure that we're staying at least 6 feet apart from everybody else, and we're making sure that we are not congregating in groups of 10 or more. And that is going to be something, the congregation of 10 or more will be kind of hard during camp, but we're definitely going to be working to see what we can do to bring in some social distancing things into camp setting. We actually received a micro grant through our friends at Thriving Financial. So we are going to be, we're in the process of purchasing more hand sanitizing stations and a couple other things that we're going to be producing more signage up and around camp about cleanliness, about being aware of communicable diseases. And so we're really, really thankful for our friends at Thriving to be able to help provide that for camp. And that's going to help us out this summer, and then it'll also help us out in summers to come to help make sure that whatever it is that we're as best prepared for it. I'm also going to be reviewing every day with the health officer, any of the folks that come into the health lodge for whatever reason. It's something that I typically do at least twice a week anyways, but we're going to make that a daily thing now moving forward, just to make sure that we're on top of everything that's coming through, that if anything comes awry, that we're able to be, again, right on top of that and working with the appropriate personnel. I will say, obviously, there's been a lot of postponements, a lot of cancellations of things, whether they're inside of scouting, outside of scouting, with schools, with different businesses and whatever. As of right now, as of April 2nd, we are still planning on having a full camp summer, starting with our staff week on June 7th and going on through all of June, all of July. That being said, we are looking at different possibilities of what happens if these stay-at-home mandates, stay-at-home orders, various recommendations for social distancing extend into late spring, extend into the summer. We are looking at a couple different models. We're not going to make any decisions on that. Certainly not this month, I don't expect. I mean, it's just too early to tell, in all honesty. And we want to make sure that we're erring on the side of caution, but we also want to make sure that we're dealing with the most up-to-date information and with the most up-to-date facts. And when you're looking at the timeline of this, 24 hours really seems like a week's worth of information. You wake up every morning and there's something new there, there's something different. And so we don't want to be preemptive in anything. We want to make sure that we have as much information before we make any adjustments to our calendar. So right now we haven't made any adjustments. In the event that that does, we will definitely be keeping everybody updated through our Facebook page, through emails, through our e-newsletter, through our website, and any other methods that we typically communicate with you guys as scouting leaders. So that is our response currently for COVID-19. So into the fun things. What's new? What's to look forward to in 2020? We are really excited. I've been working with a lot with the different staff members who have been really just chomping at the bit to get back to camp, and a lot of the camping committee has put in a lot of hard work. Our properties team with John Fogarty has put in a lot, and some of the recent things that we've had come up to date. So if you guys were there at camp last year, at the beginning of the summer, the shower house that we were building wasn't quite completed. It got finished right at the end of, I want to say it was right between, we were transitioning from Scouts BSA into Cub Scouts. But that is now completely finished. It is absolutely fantastic. And it really recommend, you'll be able to see that, you'll be able to experience that this summer. That was a huge undertaking to get that up and running. And that just puts us in a great position to help serve more families, help serve more scouts, help serve more people overall, and increase our capacity to have people at Camp K. Additionally, thanks to Chuck Murders and a couple of other folks, we were able to upgrade our pool system. We actually we got a couple of brand new pool pumps, which helps with the circulation of our chlorination and filtration systems. And so we were even able to go ahead and backflush and got a whole bunch of old sticks, old leaves, and gunk just out of that system. And so that pool is running better than ever before. And so we're really, really excited about being able to have that up and running again for this year. We've made some improvements, not only the Chapel Road, there's the big ones were on Chapel Road there. There's a drain culvert as you're walking down the road going towards Chapel that was in need of replacement. It was getting ready to erode away with some of the roadways. So they were able to get that taken care of, and now we have a brand new culvert there, and drive over top. It's nice and safe. Nobody's going to turn any ankles or anything like that. And then additionally, all of our roads in camp were also regraded as well last year. The COPE, sailboats, online registration, and high-speed internet, I'm going to cover those in the next couple of slides, so I don't want to take too much time here other than to say that they were some things that we are have worked on and are continuing to work on as we get closer to the summer. If you haven't had the opportunity to, really want to encourage you to download the 2020 program guide. It contains a lot of awesome information specifically related to Scouts BSA and the resident camp setting. We took the 87-page PDF that was the leader guide from last year in the past couple of years and took a hard look at that and said, okay, this is great. There's a whole bunch of information in here, but what is the specific information that you need as a parent, what you need as a leader to help prepare your scouts for resident camp? And so we boiled it down, have a separate document for Scouts BSA, have a separate document for Cub Scouts, and then anything else like the staff applications, campership things, weekend rentals in the off season. Those are all separate documents that you can still find on our website, but we just removed them from the program guide because they didn't really relate to what we're trying to do in summer camp. But all that information is still available on our website as well. So again, make sure you check that out. If you checked out the program guide, you'd have seen that we are doing a new thing this year. It's called Throwback Thursday. One of the first things that I saw, and it was really, really apparent to me in a phenomenal way when I came down here earlier, been down in Pennsylvania now for about 15 months, is there is a lot of passion for scouting, and particularly in the Susquehanna Valley of we as a scouting community are really proud of where we've been. We're really proud of the rich history that scouting has had here in central Pennsylvania. And that is absolutely phenomenal. And we were thinking, what is a way that we can capture that in the summer camp setting? And the idea of Throwback Thursday came up. So what Throwback Thursday is that we're inviting anybody who's going to be in camp on a Thursday to come and wear anything from the days gone by, whether it's an old Camp K hat from the 80s or a 1960s uniform with the olive green and vintage patches, or are they bringing in old handbooks to show the scouts? But we really want to celebrate our history and celebrate what we do, what we have done in scouting, and really get our current scouts excited about that and getting them looking forward into our heritage, and also to being able to look forward to what's coming up in the future for scouting. So it was a really cool way to tie it all together. I'm looking forward a lot to seeing all the cool swag and cool things that Camp K and other general history we have to offer. I've been getting my uniform all ready for that, and it's going to be a great time. And one of the other things that we have that is not necessarily a throwback, but is our high-speed internet. That was one of the biggest things that we saw on our end of camp surveys and just having conversations it's great. I love camp. And as a leader, I love camp. I love being able to go up there. And it's great to be able to unplug and to get away from some of that. But it's also at the same time a challenge as somebody that, yes, I'm taking some time off of work, but I might still need to look at some emails. I still might need to maybe get on a webinar for work or to do other things. We now have high-speed internet at the dining hall right now. And that is something that I am absolutely excited about. and we are going to be bringing it and spreading it out to camp in a couple of different stages. And we are going to be starting with this summer. It's going to be at the dining hall. It's going to be at the health lodge. It's going to be at the trading post, and it's also going to be at the camp office. And then as we move forward into the future, we'll look to spread that around to some of the different cabins that we rent. So that way, if you want to use the cabin for a weekend rental, you'll have access to the internet. If we're going up for a weekend camporee and we need to show videos, which is something that I know we had available that at our last Under the Stars camporee down in the fall, we'll have the ability to log on to high-speed internet and make that happen right at camp. So it's really, really exciting for us from a health and safety standpoint. It's really, really exciting for us to be able to offer that to you guys as leaders. And we're going to make sure that we're doing our best to limit that so it's not a camp full of scouts on their phones looking at everything like that. We're definitely going to be reining in how we're getting that usage out there, how we're limiting the access to the internet, but it is definitely something that we're going to be using as a tool, as a resource in a positive way for camp moving forward. And when you're looking at the program schedule, too, that was something that we were looking at. Of one of the feedback things was, okay, well, I have scouts who've been coming to camp now for 2, 3, 4 summers. What's something new for them? What's something that they haven't done before? And so right now we have 17 new program opportunities that are a part of the daily sessions. So that's on top of any of the new things that we're bringing in for evening programs or anything that we're changing up there. But one of the ones that I wanted to highlight was the Paul Bunyan Woodsman Award, which isn't a merit badge, but is a part of the thing that's going to be offered in Scoutcraft this year. And it is an official uniform award that or an official BSA award that you can wear on your uniform. And not a whole lot of people know about it. Not a whole lot of people have earned it, but it's perfect for what we do in camp. It's perfect for being able to teach scouts about different woodsman's tools and being able to help them do some some service on our trails at camp and really being able to tie in a lot of different things. So we're trying to figure out what these new programs that we're doing, how are we being able to engage our scouts? Is it something that they want? Is it something that they're interested in? Is it something that makes sense for the facilities that we have? And that was just one that I was really excited about, was the Paul Bunyan Woodsman Awards. But there's definitely 16 other ones that we're really excited about making happen this year. And when you're looking at the program guide, those are highlighted on the program schedule in green. All right, so new or returning for our program, I suppose, would be the better way to say it, is we made a couple of purchases and updates since 2019. So I can tell you that with the photo on the bottom, our Pico sailboats, we have 3 brand new sailboats that have been purchased and are in the process of being shipped to us right now. And those will be in time for the summer, I've been assured by the company. And so that was again, a nice grant that was able to help us achieve those. And the other one that we were looking at, I know last year, as many of you know, we had our COPE program, our area was in need of a lot of repairs. There are some issues with the tower, there are some issues with some of the high elements, there are some issues with some of the low elements. And so the decision last year was made to, again, what we want to do everything at Camp K with excellence. So we made the decision. It was difficult to close the entire program, get a really good handle on what we needed to do for COPE, come up with that game plan, and then move forward with fixing the items that we need to fix. And so we've had our inspection. We've talked to Knoebels, and Knoebels Lumber is donating a bunch of materials for us to get that fixed. And then coronavirus happens, and all mass gatherings of 10 or more people and stay-at-home orders are coming in. So we're going to work as best as we can to get as much of COPE ready to go as possible for this summer. But again, we're just going to run into some of the logistical issues of it might not all be ready for the summer, but we are committed to having a COPE program for this summer. So I can guarantee that we are going to have a COPE program for this summer. We have a couple of staff members that have already been hired for the COPE program area, and they're excited, they're engaged, they're getting things worked out. but it'll end up being most likely, again, based off of everything that we're learning of when we can get into camp, we're going to make sure that we're making the most out of our time with getting in there. But part of it, the limitations right now are we need to make sure that the rest of camp is up to go. We need to make sure that the tents are up. We need to make sure that every other area is up to up to par as well. So we're going to be really doing a lot of work come May and to get camp ready, and we're going to get as much of COPE done as we can. And we're just excited to be able to have that back for the summer. Some Camp K swag again. We found that the web store that we used last year was fairly successful. We saw that a lot of folks liked that. They liked the chance to either collect the information as a unit and put in one giant order for their troop, or offering the opportunity to all their parents of saying, hey, here's all the things that are available. Here's the link. Go ahead and buy it for your scouts, and it'll all be there ready for when you arrive at camp. So we're doing that again. Again, with the shutdowns and non-essential businesses and whatnot, we're still working with Keystone. I didn't have updated photos for the in time for the slideshow, but I can tell you that our colors this year are going to be dark blue. It's not going to be the gray that we had last year. We're going to be looking at a dark blue this year for our shirts and our sweaters. And we're looking at a couple of different things as well. We met with Keystone, and one of the things that we heard was a pretty cool thing where we're looking at some sort of zippered hoodie. We're looking at a couple other options for baseball caps and whatnot. So we really want to make sure that what we put into the camp trading post is going to be things that you guys want. And so if you have any suggestions of whether it's apparel or other items that you want to see in the trading post, definitely let us know, because we want to make sure that we're there to supply your scouts. We're there to supply you guys with what you need to have a fun and experience in time. Additionally, when you're looking at things that you can purchase in the trading post, we have our unit photo program. And one of the ways that we were looking at, okay, how can we take something that we're already doing and it's already awesome and just take it to that next level? And so one of the ways that we're doing that is we're bringing a little bit of a new look to our photos this year. And so obviously this photo was not taken at Camp K. I admit that I took that from another camp. That the vision is going to be the same. So we'll have the iconic blue circular sign that everybody will still be taking their photos in front of. And we'll make sure that we'll be framing those photos inside of this type of imaging. It'll have your troop number. It'll have your hometown and the time that you were in camp. So it really helps it to commemorate, helps it to, again, makes it easier instead of scribbling on the back of the photo of, okay, what year was this and who was there, what week was it. We're going to really take that and make it into a nice, suitable for framing 8x10 full print glossy photo. So those will be available for purchase at the trading post as well. All right, now for the other fun thing that we get to do, and this is kind of be where we're going into the interactive portions where I get to go click everywhere, is we have our Black Pug software. So this was something that we saw as a need for our camp to be able to manage our registration process really from anywhere. And it works out well that we're able to do that now from home with everything that's going on in the world. But this is going to offer you the opportunity as troops to be able to sign up for events, like whether it's a resident camp, whether it's a camporee, whether it's an individual's training like IOLS or Scoutmaster Specifics. This system will allow for any of those things and all of those things to take place. We're going to get it to the point eventually to also take our cabin reservations for the off season. So when you're looking to rent Earl, when you want to rent Harris Cabin or Kirby Cabin or Edna Sheary, you have the opportunity to go online, check right there to see what the cabin availability is, and lock it in and pay for it all right there if you want to. And that's going to be a really cool thing. We're not at that point yet, but we're getting there. So we're going to start off by looking at what the resident camp reservation looks like. We're going to go through a couple of different scenarios. The first one is going to be if you are haven't registered at all for camp and you want to register your troop for the first time. And then we'll also look at what happens if I've already sent in a reservation or if I've already gone online and made a reservation. How do I add things? How do I change things and apply payments and stuff like that? So give me just a quick second here. I will pull up. Okay. So how do we get to our registration page? The best way to do that is through our Susquehanna BSA website. So this here we have the main page. And if you scroll down just a little bit, we have our 2020 camp reservation info button. If you click here, it will also take you, it'll take you to our resident camp resources. You can get to the same place by going up to the more camping, which will load you to the camping page, and then you click down to the resident camp resources. Here you'll find a whole bunch of things such as the program schedule, your paper reservation form, any campership applications and camp staff applications and things along those lines. And you also see this blue button, click here to register. So you click on that, and that'll take you right over into our reservation system. So if you are a troop that has not signed up for camp yet, meaning that you haven't gone online to do this, or you haven't filled out a piece of paper and sent that into the office with a check or credit card or information to take it out of your unit account, you would see this front page and you would go from there. So you would take, okay, do we want to have week 1, week 2, 3, 4, or even the Cub Scouts are down here, Cub Scout 1 and Cub Scout 2. So you would choose the week that you want to go to. And so we'll just take week 1 for the purposes of our example. And it'll automatically ask you different things. So you have the ability through this program to create your own account and create your own login. There are definitely benefits to that, and we'll get to some of those benefits as we go through tonight. But for the purposes of right now, I'll just log in as a guest. And so now you'll select how many people do I want. So it gives you the cost right there. So I'm just gonna say 2 scouts, and then there's adult participant and there's adult daily rate. The reason for this is because we have the 2-tiered structure for the adults. So you have your first 2 adults are free. So those would fall under the adult participant side. So you can see you can either have, you have your 2 adults that are free, and then the daily rate is for adult number 3 on up. So if you have 5 adults coming, you would have your 2 for the ones that are free, and then your 3 that would be at the daily rate, your $25 a day, or if they're coming for the full week, $125. So if you need a refresher on the pricing, you can just click view pricing, and a little pop-up will show. Here's the daily rate, everything for the youth, payment schedule in terms of deposits and balances, our cancellation policy and whatnot. So we'll click register. Again, now this is going to force me to enter some information. So I'll enter that really quickly. Okay. Continue. And now this will take me into the reservation system. So when you're into this page, you want to take and find everything that's red. So we have our contact, participants, checkout, update information. Anything that's red, you want to turn it into something that's green, or to make it not red. So you just start clicking on things, and it'll help you to make them be what you need. So we have, you can put in your campsite preferences. Do I want to be in Baden-Powell? I want to be, if I can't get into Baden-Powell, I want Bob Boy, or we'll go Owl. Do you need electricity at your campsite? Again, if you do need electricity, please make sure that the campsites that you select are those that have the capacity for electricity. That is not something that I put in there at this point, but it is something that I might be able to put in as we move forward in the coming years. But again, reference the paper sheet if you need information on which campsites have electricity. If you have any comments that you want to make, say, oh, well, we have a history of we've always been in Baden-Powell, or our boys really love to go and stay at Fox, there's an opportunity for you to do that as well. And then you can select a unit. So it'll pop up, are you with Susquehanna Council? If you are, most folks will be, you click yes. If you're with another council, you can click no, and it'll take you to a list of different councils where you'll pick yours, you'll enter in your troop number, and go from there. So I'll click yes. I'll say we're troop, and I see Steve Everson's on there. So I'll just say that we're with 538. All right, so I click save. Now it pops up that our troop is in 7 bridges. Here are their requests, and then you go into the participant side of things. Now again, when you're here, you see all these red things. You want to turn the red into green, so you'll click on that. Here's one of the benefits of being logged in and having your account. If you are logged in as a unit leader, we have uploaded all the membership rosters into the system. When you create your login and you're using the same email address that we have on file, which is typically the one that you have used for your my.scouting.org trainings, like your youth protection and whatnot, the system will see those 2 emails are the same and will link your personal account with your unit. So when you go to log and update information, see, I'll click this, I would have to type in all this information and, what's the gender, what's the rank, age, emergency contact information, any allergies or anything like that. If you had it set up with that, there would be a second button right here that would say roster. You click on that roster page or tab, and it will bring up every single youth that you have in your unit. And it will, you just check the button and it'll automatically fill things in. You'll still need to fill in a few things like emergency contact information or allergies or things like you might need to update a rank because that's only as good as the last membership upload. But we're going to be updating that information at least every 6 months, probably every 4 months. But that was put in late February, that information. So if you've had some new scouts that haven't crossed over yet or anything like that, you might end up having to key in their information. But again, if you create your account and you are a unit leader, that will automatically show up with a little roster. Same will hold true for your adult participants. So again, you'll want to update your information with the daily rate ones. When you update the adult, you want to check which days of the week are you attending. So again, it'll be if I'm having a leader that's coming Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and they're leaving Tuesday at lunch. Okay, so we're going to check those, and then fill everything else in. And then I have another one that's coming in, but they're going to stay for the whole week. If you check every single box, even though if you add the 25 times 6, the system will recognize that all of those checked is going to equal the 125 flat rate. So you don't have to worry about that. The system will do all the math for you with that. And then once you have everything in here, again, I won't go through all that right now, but you will click over to checkout. This will go to blue, kind of like how the contact is at blue. I didn't, so it'll show some errors. Again, the system is really, really good at showing, hey, you need to update this, you need to update that, and walking you through those things before you get to the end. So you'll be able to update those participants, and you will be able to go through the payment processing system. So our payment processing system, and I won't go through that now either because again, it would actually charge me to, because the system is live, but the system is designed to take major credit cards, debit cards, and checks, e-checks. So if you have, I know a lot of troops are typically using their unit accounts for making reservations or paying for reservations or things like that. We want to make sure that, if that's something that you want to do, send me an email. Again, with the office closed, I don't have access to the unit account information on hand. I'll do my best to get in there or to talk with others in our office to see if somebody can get in to check on that and to be able to process those things, but it's going to be a little bit more delayed than typical. So we're asking that if you're going to be making payments, that if you're able to pay through those with either check or credit card or debit card. That being said, I guess now would be a good time to mention that we are going to be, the May 1st deadline was what we had put down on paper as the deadline for units being able to be paid in full to avoid any late fee. In light of everything that's going on and doing our best to make sure that we're keeping campus accessible to everybody, we're going to be extending that late fee. So it's essentially, as long as you and your scouts are paid in full prior to stepping onto camp property, there won't be a late fee. The only time that that late fee is going to apply is if you have a scout or a couple scouts or whatever walk in the day of, they haven't been registered at all before, and they're looking to sign up that day when they're walking in. That's the only time that we're really going to be looking at that additional $50 on top of the $380. Other than that, we want to make sure that we're being as accessible during this time when we know that there's a lot of folks that either had fundraisers that were getting postponed or canceled, or we have families that are, suddenly finding parents without work or whatever. We want to make sure that we're being as accessible and understanding of all those things. So now we're going to transition to, so let's say you are a troop who has already paid a deposit, whether you've paid that deposit through the online system, which I know some of you have, or if you've paid your deposit through the paper system, which was typically how we've done it before with, I think this year was the tan sheet, where you check your boxes of what you wanted your units, your campsite preference, and on the back side was the sheet where you had your roster listed and everything like that. All that information is populated in here, provided that you included a reservation form. A payment for the deposits. So if you turned in a form as a troop and there was no deposit information on that, I wasn't able to add that into the system just because I needed some sort of payment to hold it in place. So we are going to go in. So say you're in one of those situations, and Kate, I'm going to pick on you guys because I know you've registered and I was taking a look at you guys before. So we're going to go in there. We're going to pretend that we're Troop 610, and we want to access our registration and to see who we have on the roster, if we need to make any changes or if we need to apply any payments or anything like that. So up in the top right here, you see look up. So you want to click on that and click look up registration. And each registration is going to have that primary contact. Remember when I had that pop up saying, hey, enter your information, and I put my name and my email? You're going to want that email. So we're going to have Kate's email, and each troop is going to have a reservation number or a registration number associated with each event that they registered for. So I will grab, give me a second here. You will have that emailed to you if you haven't, I haven't had the chance to do that yet, but if you enter in your registration number, you'll get a page that looks a little bit like this. So on 610's registration form that they filled out on their paper, they gave all the information that we needed for the contact. So you'll see that's green. If, say, for example, they went from White Buffalo, they actually wanted to change how their campsite order was, or they wanted to add to volunteer time to clean the camp restrooms during the week, or if they need to change from a no to a yes with requesting information, requesting electricity, you can still go into the update information and change things around however you want, or check whatever you want, and do any of those updates. Just make sure that you hit the save button on the bottom. I don't want to make any changes. I'm going to click X. So now we'll go over to the participant page. Again, all of these scouts have been loaded into the system. They have the little lightning bolt next to them showing that they've been verified against the membership registration forms that we have on file. All of these scouts are verified to be registered in Boy Scouts of America, so they are good to go. But we do have a couple of adults that we need to clean up. It looks like we have, they listed 3 adults on their reservation form, so we'll want to update information and be able to fill out, okay, what names are, what's the name, what's the emergency contact, who are they going for? So you'll be able to do all that. Say you have, whether it's you want to add a 4th adult, because you have your 3 adults, you want to add a 4th adult, or you want to add a couple more youth, you have the ability to do that as well. And that's through the Add Participants tab. So you come up here and you click Add Participants, and then answer how many do I need. So I want to add, I had 1 scout and their parent want to come as well. So you can add attendees, and it'll add extra blocks for you to then go in and fill that information. So I don't want to make that change, so I'm not going to click Save. So again, you go through that process. If you need to make any adjustments to any of these things, whether they've, the scouting ranks don't necessarily matter. The ages, some things have age restrictions on them, particularly our older youth programs like COPE and being able to do BSA lifeguard have age restrictions on them. So, but if you say you want to add any allergies or medication or any information that we want to have to the health officer before camp arrives, you have the ability to edit and add that. If you got a phone number wrong, we can go in and change that. You have a whole bunch of different options to be able to do that. And then again, you can go over to the payment. So we won't be able to go through the payment summary form on here because there are still some errors that need to be reconciled first. But you would then be able to go through and apply payments. And the way that it works is a really cool way, is that you can make a payment to the troop and then from there break it down by scout. So you can say, okay, I have $200 that's coming in and I want 100 of it to go to Jimmy and I want 100 of it to go to Johnny. You have the ability to break that up in the system to apply it to specific individuals. Say if you had, Jimmy's and Johnny's parents come and write you checks. So we'll still be able to, to break that down so you are having the payments go to the right places. A couple other things that you want to know in here, which will be really helpful, is if you click this More tab, we're going to go to, we'll go to Payment History. So it looks like their first, this would be their first deposit, is being shown as a cash payment down. If there are any other payments that were made, whether it was extra checks that had come in the office before the camp closed or the camp office closed, or whatever, those would be shown here. Any camperships would be shown here, and you'd be able to see all those really easily. Another way you can see those is through one of the many reports that we have available. So again, you click on this More tab, and you click Reports. And that one that I was talking about is Payment Allocations. So if you click on the Payment Allocations and you preview the report, it will bring up a lovely page that shows a bunch of information about the payment structure for your particular troop. And it's taking its time. So while that's loading, I'm going to go over to the comments section here. May 1st is going to be a nightmare to coordinate. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, if you have the ability to pay by May 1st, I absolutely encourage you guys to pay that. Again, at minimum, we want to make sure that we are having payments, or at least a deposit per each scout come in the door by May 1st, so that we can get an idea of counts for when we're ordering food, when we're ordering program supplies, because a lot of those things we need to order now and before the end of these next 2 weeks is up, or else we're not going to have them in time for camp. So if we can at least get an idea of how many people are going to be there with $25 deposit per person before May 1st, that would be extremely helpful. But as long as you pay the entirety of the $380 prior to stepping foot on camp property, we're going to waive the late fee. We're not going to worry about that. We want to make sure that this is as easy as possible. For the registration of merit badges, that is going to be one of the other caveats for that. So the way that the system is set up is, once a scout is paid in full, that $380, and whether that, however that happens, whether it's through camperships, whether it's through other payments made by the troop or by the family, once that individual scout reaches that $380 mark, then that opens them up for being able to register for different merit badges, different program things, like I said, such as any of our program sessions that we have. That system itself was set to open May 4th. We're talking about potentially delaying that by another week, just to give everybody a little bit more time. I mean, it's hard for being able to connect with your families, to be able to get the money into a central place, to be able to register as a unit and apply payments as a unit. I have no idea why this is taking so long. I'm gonna try it again. But while that's happening, So the need to be paid in full, we're working on that right now. But right now, the idea is that you still will need to be paid in full before you can register for merit badges and other program sessions. But that timeline isn't necessarily going to be May 4th. That might be pushed back a week or two to make sure that we have the ability to give everybody more time to get things together. So we might be running into a glitch with the system right now, so I apologize for that. So as we're doing that, will the merit badge registration system auto-populate from Black Pug versus where we had to enter the roster? That is correct. So when you saw your each little tab had a different Scout's name on it, you'd click on that tab, you'd update, and then there'd be an opportunity in there for you to select for session or for period 1, period 2, period 3, all the way down the line. And if there are things that go double sessions or triple sessions, for example, Trail of the Eagle takes either a whole morning or a whole afternoon, it'll automatically block off the other thing, so you're not double registering somebody for two things that's happening at the same time. So we are definitely excited about that. It's going to be a lot similar to the previous year's registration system. The only difference being is that everything's already auto-populated and tied in for here as well. All right, so while we're watching these guys paddle down the stream, I can at least show you some of the different other things that are available as well. So we have a unit roster, which will be extremely helpful for you when you want to see a summary or printout view of every adult, every youth that's coming in your contingent. When the merit badge sessions are, when you are registered for your sessions, that'll be able to show up here on the class schedule. So that will be able to show you everything that's being offered. You can have the Scout summary, which is a nice little handout that you can print out, a one-pager per Scout. Where is Billy supposed to be at 10 a.m. versus 11 a.m. And they'll be able to take that, and the Scout leader can hold on to that as well, which is really helpful. Payment allocations, which we talked about, will show individuals' payment status of how much has been paid towards each particular camper's account at any given time. The period summaries again and class summaries are really going to be handy for you guys if you want to take a different look. We know that Scout leaders like to have different things posted up on their bulletin boards or having at their fingertips to be able to see, okay, it's 9 a.m. Where is everybody supposed to be? And you'll be able to look at that as a leader and say, okay, these people are supposed to be at a college, these folks are supposed to be at handicraft, these folks are supposed to be at trades or whatever. That'll be able to show you that. The class summary will be handy for whether it's for you or for our staff members. And then we get into some of the even more fun things. Prerequisites by Scout. So this is going to be one that you'll want to run after you've had your Scouts, you've signed them up for their different sessions. Based off the sessions that they sign up for, the prerequisites will be automatically tied into those choices. So that way you can have a one-pager per Scout of, okay, here are these 7 things are prerequisites for your 4 or 5 sessions that you're taking. And it'll be personalized for each individual, so you don't need to worry about them trying to go line by line and find things. It makes it a lot easier for them, makes it a lot easier for you as leaders if you're looking to follow up with some of those things. The QR codes is going to be a handy thing for you. If you want to follow up on any particular Scout, we as a staff are going to be entering in attendance as well as requirement achievements on a daily or bi-daily basis into the system. So that way you'll be able to see in real time, okay, are they, they should be going to class anyways, but are they participating? Are they having any issues or anything like that? You'll be able to see those right along the line, as well as some other check sheets and advancement details. And then we get into the after camp things. So a benefit of this system is that we don't have to worry about blue cards anymore. We'll still get blue cards, but the system is going to produce them for us. And you can either have them produced on regular 8.5 by 11 paper, and they'll come up and it'll actually have the the blue cards, and you can cut them up yourself after they get printed out on double-sided, or you can have there is a blue card that comes in 3 to a page that you can actually put into your printer and print right onto those. And that report, the second one, the BSA cardstock, is designed for that type of blue cards that would be sold at the Scout shop. And we're ordering and we're getting those in. So we'll have those available at the trading post, and we're working to get them in at the Scout shop in Williamsport as well prior to camp starting. So if you want paper copies of advancements, you have the ability to go ahead and access that right from the system, so we don't have to worry about misspelled names or things going in. You know, inevitably there's always a blue card that goes into the wrong troops folder or anything like that. We don't need to worry about any of that anymore because that's all right here. Additionally, we have the ability to, you have the ability to go in and download a file that will either go, you can upload it right into Scoutbook that will show all the advancements for that week for every single scout. Or if you use Troopmaster, you have the ability to do that in Troopmaster format as well. So it's your choice, whether it's Scoutbook or Troopmaster. We have a couple other things here. We don't have to worry about the training post packing list, but the badges incomplete is an important one to show you that when badges are incomplete, when you have somebody who comes away with a partial, you'll be able to access the scout's name, the badge that they were working on, and what requirements were achieved, what requirements were not achieved, and we'll be able to again really hone in on those details for you to be able to see those. A lot of these, like I said, these ones are going to be of best use at the end of camp. Some of these are going to be of use during camp, and some of these are going to be of use leading up to camp. And you can access all those while you're inside your registration system, going underneath the More and then Reports tab. So again, I apologize. I don't know why this isn't working like it should, but I promised that it was working 10 minutes before we started, naturally. But let me see, we're going to go, let's go back here. All right, so going back to our page here. So we have a question came up last night at the Cub Scout meeting of, is Black Pug secure? Yes, it is. We have the ability to tell that it's secure. I'll actually go back to the web page here for a minute. Okay, so you can tell when a web page is secure through a couple of different things. Up in the top here, there's a little lock that says that, thank you, that says that it's a secure page that is able to accept credit card information and store that securely without worrying about data breaches. If that lock was, the padlock was unlocked, that would show that it is not a secure site. Additionally, you can look at the web link here, the HTTPS. The S stands for secure. If you ever have a web page that is just HTTP, that is an unsecure website. So this has both, so that checks the boxes of it being a secure site. And it also allows for, the website allows for immediate registration. So it's really helpful in times like this when you're not able to get into the office because we're closed, we're working remotely. We can make changes, update things in real time and have them ready to go. You can apply payments easily for individual campers. You don't necessarily have to wait for everybody to have everything in before you pay in full. You can pay some things now, pay some things later, whatever works best for you guys in your particular situation. And it's really easy to register scouts for program sessions, like I said, the merit badges or the other program things like the Paul Bunyan's award, or even our evening programs like our scuba activities that we have. And then like we talked about, like we showed, the leader reports, you can easily see the prerequisites. You can see a schedule for each scout, master list for, you can post with your campsite, share with other leaders, share other people inside and outside of camp, however you want to do that, to be able to track attendance and print blue cards and upload Scout Book and Troop Master reports right from there. So like I said, our program session registration, the merit badge registration, is set to go live on May 4th. That's going to change a little bit, but this was already done before I made that, or we made that decision. So we're looking at sometime in mid-May, I will announce that date when I email us out, and we'll push that as well through our Facebook and other mediums. And again, Scouts paid in full can sign up for program sessions. We want to avoid having unpaid, Scouts that aren't paid in full from signing up, only because we don't want necessarily to have a whole bunch of Scouts sign up for a session, end up not paying in full, whether the unit's unable to come or whatever. The system does allow for some waitlisting options, but it creates a little bit of muddy waters, and really, we don't want to disincentivize people from waiting to the last minute for payment or anything like that. But again, this is a very unique situation with COVID-19, and so we will look through at some of those different things. And when we announce the May 4th changing to a later date, you might see that maybe a Scout is paid to a certain amount, whether it's at the $200 level or something along those lines, to be able to sign up for program sessions to help alleviate some of the financial burdens that families are having. And again, it runs through Black Pug. It's all a system. Everything is all in one go, one-stop shop. We don't have to worry about going here for signing up for sessions, going here to make payments, going here to do whatever. That's all encompassed all in one. All right. So I see there's a couple other questions on here. I'll address those back at the end in the question and answer period. I want to keep going through some of the things that we have. The Sunday check-in process is going to be similar to last year. We're going to have the 1 o'clock start time. Again, it worked really, really well for the troops to have that no assigned arrival times on our end. If you as a troop want to say, hey, we're going to arrive at 1:30, we're going to arrive at 2 o'clock, we're going to arrive at 3 o'clock, or whatever works for you guys, we're going to leave that on you to make that decision on how you want to operate. We're going to have one staff guide per troop. That way, when your entire contingent is there, we'll be able to get you in, take your photo, and go through the whole check-in process easily. We're going to have some staff that are down there at the parking lot to work with the trailers and to make sure that we're parking those in a row along the side of the parking lot to avoid congestion. We had a couple of weeks last year where all the trailers were in a row, making sure that they're getting in line to go up into camp, which was awesome. But unfortunately, with the way that our parking lot is structured, is that it ended up blocking some folks up onto Thomas Dam Road, not being able to get into the parking lot. And we want to make sure that we're keeping the road as clear as possible for other traffic, for other people that live on the road and whatnot, to be able to get by. So we're going to have some folks, some staff members on hand to help direct traffic, make that a little bit easier, hopefully avoid some congestion and keep things safer for all of our Scouts to be walking around at that time as well. Again, with our vehicle policy, like last year, we're going to allow a vehicle to go up to drop off gear. And then we just ask that all vehicles go back down to the parking lot and remain in the parking lot for the duration of your stay. Trailers, again, can stay up in the your campsites. Just ask that they're not parked on the roadways for health and safety reasons, in case we need to get a vehicle back in there for camp. And if your troop does not have a trailer, you can keep a vehicle up in your campsite, again, parked off where like a regular trailer would be. And you can use that to lock up any smellables, any food items and things like that, so that you don't have any unwanted guests in your campsite late at night. But we just ask, if you are using a vehicle for that purpose, that that vehicle stays parked as if it were a trailer that didn't have an engine, and it just doesn't move until you are checking out and leaving for the time there. Medical recheck, swim check, and camp tour will then proceed as normal. With medical recheck, we're going to definitely be a little bit more conscious. We're going to take a lot more time this year with making sure that everybody's aware of the signs and symptoms of not only COVID-19, but any other communicable diseases, and doing what we can to help limit exposure of everybody. And so we're going to ask everybody's going to get a little one-on-one interview, and they'll be asked, okay, have you been feeling overall well, or have you felt sick at all within the last 14 days? Have you been experiencing any coughing or anything like that? So we're going to be definitely working to make sure that we are keeping everybody as safe as possible. One of the big questions that came up last night, and it's something that I've been talking with the national office on, was with medical recheck comes the need. We all know that you need parts A, B, and C of the physical to be at camp more than 72 hours in a resident camp setting, which means having a physician, going to a doctor or a physician assistant and having your medical provider do an evaluation and sign off. It's kind of difficult right now. I've been working with the national office to try to get an answer. I can tell you what they told me, which is basically, we're aware of the issue. We know that that's something that is going to be a nationwide concern. We don't have an answer right now, but as soon as we have an answer, we'll be passing that on to you. So same thing, like I said, I don't have that answer right now. I can assure you that there are folks that are working on that at the national level. And as soon as they provide us with any guidance at all, we are going to pass that along and do whatever we can to get Scouts into camp while making sure that they're being safe and that we're overall meeting the needs of health and safety from a BSA standpoint. So paperwork that we're going to need at the check-in. So when you come and you're ready to arrive at the check-in, you're able to walk up and meet me at the Welcome Center. We'll be looking for a couple different things. So first off, the roster of youth and adults, if it's different from what's online. So if what you have online matches exactly who you have in your party, you don't necessarily need to have a paper roster to hand to me because I'm going to have that already on my computer. Again, that's another benefit of having this system is there's actually a whole check-in process through Black Pug registration that I'm able to have administratively to check. If there's any differences, definitely bring those and we'll be able to adjust those so that what we have is an accurate reflection of who's in camp. Pennsylvania clearances for adults and registration and youth protection for adults as well. Another benefit of having high-speed internet is if you need to update your youth protection, we now have 100 megabits per second up at camp that we'll be able to leverage in terms of being able to get online for any of those different trainings. So make sure that we have youth protection and clearances for those. And any Scouts that have prerequisites, we just ask for any proof of those in past years. I do want to reiterate those merit badge worksheets that I know a lot of troops find helpful and a lot of Scouts find helpful. You can definitely have those, and sometimes they work really well for showing a prerequisite. For example, I know environmental science, you have to write a little report, and there's a spot within the worksheet to write the report. That's a great thing that you can do. Just printing off a packet like that and turning that in does not do anything. We had a couple of troops that did that last year. It really didn't, it doesn't really accomplish anything in terms of what we're looking at in terms of prerequisites. We want to make sure that if the prerequisite says visit a museum, visit a factory or whatever, whether it's a little ticket stub, whether it's something or a couple of photographs from the museum or whatnot, doesn't have to be extravagant, but we just want to have some form of proof that the prerequisites were completed and making sure that that's done in a meaningful way. And then any meal tickets and unit photos can be purchased at the trading post at that time as well. So, so we're going to move now into some of the other general reminders. Again, this is exactly the same as last year. I actually didn't change this slide at all, but I just wanted to remind everybody that our Trail to Eagle program is specifically designed for our first-year Scouts, and the program is a half day. So you can choose whether as a Scout, you can choose whether you want to be in the morning session or in the afternoon session. You're not in both. The reason for that is because we want to make sure that our first-year Scouts are being able to get out into the other parts of camp to be able to experience that. And sometimes what they want to do is only offered in the morning. Sometimes what they want to do is only offered in the afternoon. So this gives them the flexibility to choose. Whether they choose the morning or afternoon session, it's going to be the exact same program in both times. So it's not like one's better than the other or whatnot. It's just whatever fits best with their schedule. And being able to break that out from a full day down into 2 half-day sessions allows for more one-on-one time with the staff and the campers, being able to make deeper relationships, and Scouts are able to get a lot more out of that. And we saw a lot of benefits from that last year. So we're definitely excited to keep that going again this year. Couple of things to get ready before camp. We all have a lot of time on our hands at the moment, so felt like it was good opportunity to bring some of these things up. Again, Pennsylvania clearances, this is now the 5th or 6th year, depending on when you were first taking part in those. A lot of our volunteers, especially on the troop side of things, have been involved in scouting for many, many years, which means that when the Pennsylvania Act 15 clearances first came out, which is about 5-6 years ago now, that was the first time that everybody applied for them and got them and submitted them. So we're now 5 years removed, which means that it's time for a lot of us volunteers to get those renewed. So if you are in that bubble or in that window, now's a great time to go online to the different websites to get that, whether it's through the state police, your child protection, and the FBI, or if you've lived in Pennsylvania for 10 years, you can get the waiver signed. We want to make sure that those things are being done while you have the time, because again, some of those things take time to process, to review, and make sure that you can do that while you have the opportunity. Youth protection training, I'll throw hazardous weather in there as well. Again, those are online trainings through my.scouting.org. Great opportunity to really see everything that my.scouting has to offer. Again, adults staying more than 72 hours must be registered with the BSA. So that means we're going to need to have an adult application on file for them. They need to have gotten that signed by their chartering organization representative and whatnot. If you are in that boat where you have a couple of adults who need to fill that paperwork out, obviously with the stay-at-home order, it's a little bit difficult. Please reach out to me and have a conversation. There are a couple of flexibility opportunities that we have with being able to leverage our employees to help make some things happen, or to work with digital technology to get those to the people that they need to be signed and processed and whatnot. Again, full camp fees paid, not by May 1st, but as soon as possible. Again, at minimum, if you have scouts that you know are coming that aren't on your sign-up sheet, at least have a $25 deposit down on them so that we know that they're coming. We need to make sure that we're ordering enough food, that we're ordering enough program supplies. I want to make sure that anybody who takes pioneering has enough rope to be able to tie the knots that they need to. And if I don't have a good feeling of how many scouts we have total in camp each week, it's going to be really hard to gauge those things. You don't need to worry about blue cards, like we said before. That's all going to be taken care of through the Black Pug system, so we don't need to worry about blue card mania or getting all those things signed and filled out ahead of time. So that's going to make it a little bit easier on your end. So that's one less thing you guys need to worry about getting taken care of prior to camp starting. And then one thing that it's not online yet, but it will be probably by tomorrow, is a kitchen information sheet. And this is going to really help Donnie and Nate in the kitchen, who are looking for a couple of pieces of information to help make sure that our dining hall services are functioning with all the information as possible. If you know of any individuals right now that are in your contingent, whether they're adults or youth, doesn't really matter, that have specific dietary needs. So whether they have a peanut allergy, whether it's red dye number 40 that they're allergic to, or any sorts of things like that, the more information that we can provide our kitchen staff ahead of time, the better off they'll be able to do in terms of being accommodating and offering different things, options and opportunities for each individual's personal situation. The other things that are on there, any cooking and campsites during your stay. Again, that was something that we know a lot during family nights. Sometimes is a nice night for troops that they're going to say, hey, we're going to have a whole bunch of families coming in. We're going to order pizzas. We're going to make Dutch oven stuff or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be Wednesday, but in the event that you want to cook in your campsite at all during the course of your time at camp, just ask that you note that along with the day, as well as is it the whole your whole number of troop members that are going to be participating in that? Is it only part of them? Because again, that helps us with cutting down on waste from the dining hall, which was probably the #1 area of improvement that was recommended from the end of camp surveys that we saw, that we were able to get from the leaders and from the SPLs, was saying, hey, love the food. It was awesome quality. It was a great job. There's a lot of it. In fact, there was too much of it because we were throwing a lot of it away. So if we have that information, we'll be able to make sure that we're making the right amount of food for the number of people that are in the dining hall, and that what we're making fits the dietary needs of everybody that's in the dining hall. And then anything else that you can think of that will help the staff from in the kitchen do what they need to do. I ask that you add that to the sheet as well. All right, so it worked well last year. We had a couple of awesome submissions to our 2019 patch design contest. These were the results from the Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA patches. We are doing that again this year. I've had a lot of designs already submitted to me, and that is actually open as well, still through mid-April. So if you or one of your scouts has any artistic flair at all and wants to see if your design can become a patch, definitely encourage you to sketch something out. It doesn't have to be exquisite. It doesn't have to be all, using anything fancy. The patch design companies can take pretty much, the world's worst hand-drawn, stick figures and whatnot and work magic with them. So if you have a design, if you have a thought in mind, really, really encourage you to sketch that out, put that down onto a piece of paper and email that to me. Again, jacob.horner@scouting.org. That way we can look and see what designs are going to be for our Scouts BSA and for our Cub Scout sessions this year, because we're going to have 2 separate patches again. That was really, really popular last year, so we're excited to bring that back for this year. While everybody's at camp, and especially now that we have a lot of the high-speed internet access that we haven't had before, we have an opportunity for different trainings. And again, this is where I'm going to ask everybody to go to your chat box. We have different things that we are been able to offer in previous years. We have a wonderful training team. I said it last night as well, that our council training team has helped us as a council become one of the highest councils and one of the top councils in the nation in terms of percentage of adult leaders trained. And that is an absolutely remarkable thing that we need to be proud of in Susquehanna Council. And whether it's a specific training that is, like I said, like a Scoutmaster specifics or a merit badge counselor orientation or a BSA lifeguard or anything like that, or maybe it's something less formal. Maybe it's how do I deal with an unruly scout during a meeting, or how do I handle conflict between 2 scouts who might not necessarily get along inside or outside of scouts. Even if it's like a couple of little 15, 20-minute micro sessions that aren't tied to any specific training, but are really, really handy to have in terms of continued learning. If you have any ideas or any thoughts on what you'd like to see, whether it's in the camp setting or whether it's in the year-round setting, or whether we're hosting webinars to that end, please let us know. Again, add those to the comments section in the chat box. Send me emails. Talk to Pam Startzel. See whatever we can do to be a resource to you guys as leaders, as parents, to help make camp successful and help make what you do at your troops successful. We want to be here to help with that. All right, we have come to the time of our meeting with the questions. So I'm going to look through here in our group chat box. Again, please, if you have any questions that you haven't typed out yet, I encourage you to please add those right now. All right. So going back over to our chat box. Register, waiving late fee, we talked about that. Registration, auto-populate, into the roster. Rich, if you could set up the system so that it does a down payment is made. Yep, Scout can register for merit badges. Yep, so we're going to look at that. Rich, we'll definitely see what we can do in terms of being accommodating with the situation of finances and still being able to properly account for everything that we need to for camp. See, Steve, when you said about a deposit per scout by May 1st, so you can plan, how much do you want the deposit to be? Steve, for that deposit, all we were looking for was that initial $25 per scout deposit that was initially sent in with the, a lot of folks sent that in on the paper version of the application or for coming to summer camp. Again, just to make sure that we have an idea of, okay, if there's 10 scouts that are paid at $25 each at minimum, that helps us know that, okay, we can count on 10 scouts coming. If you have 13 scouts coming, but only 10 of them have that $25 on them, we don't necessarily know about those other 3. And so that might throw a little monkey wrench into what we're doing in terms of being able to have enough gear and have enough supplies and whatnot. So that's a really good question. Making sure that classes have limits on size. Yes, absolutely. So, Steve, we have, rather than having a lottery thing, we definitely have the ability to limit specific class sizes. Particularly ones that we're focusing on that are places that you have to have a specific ratio of trained staff members per scouts participating. So you're looking at your shooting sports ranges, your archery, your rifle, shotgun, where you can only have a certain number of people per session shooting at any given point based off of the number of staff members that you have there. So we definitely have that. We're looking at that for a couple other of our more popular sessions as well. I know first aid was a very popular session last year, and a couple of the other ones as well. So in an effort to make sure that our staff members aren't getting overwhelmed with having 35 individuals in a session, because again, that's also comes back to the quality of experience. We want to make sure that the scouts have a quality experience with the staff in an intimate setting of, and if you have 35 people, you're kind of limited on what different things you can do with the larger and larger class sizes that you get. Kate, we talked about physicals and health medical records as far as we have for now. If all leaders are registered, why do we need to bring a copy of youth protection? That's a great question, Rich. So again, we have a number of leaders that might be from out of council, so I don't have the ability to look up their youth protection status, or we might have somebody who is on the bubble, or maybe they were registered at one point but haven't been dropped off or whatever. There's always outliers. So just by having a quick copy of youth protection in a little binder for all of our troops, that just is a great way to help ensure the safety of our youth is met by making sure that every leader and staff member as well, for that matter, is current in their youth protection training. Thank you, Kate, for listing the links for the FBI clearances. Haven't heard an update on the nut sale yet. So no, we are going to be, I guess, holding off on the nut sale. That's not really related to summer camps per se, but it is in terms of fundraisers. But even if we were able to work on our end to get all the orders brought into one central place, and we were able to place an order, there's no guarantee right now that the Virginia Diner Nut Factory would be able to turn around and ship us product at the moment. And then even once we got the product, it would be difficult to arrange a pickup with when we're supposed to be staying at 10 or less. So we're going to be postponing that until the stay-at-home ordinances are lifted, at least at the end of April. So I'll be sending that out in a newsletter, probably whether it's tomorrow or Monday, with some other updates that we have going on with COVID-19. Any questions? I need some clarification. All right, Sabrina, if you just want to send me an email with that, or give me a phone call at 585-409-0622. I'll actually put that up right now. If you can give me a phone call or a text message, whether it's tonight after we finish or at some point tomorrow, be happy to have a conversation with that. All right. When you ask for registrations for adults, are you referring to the forms we fill out to join? No, yeah, I'm talking to an adult application. So we'll occasionally have folks who want to come to summer camp, and you have different adults, and you have, some of them are on the committee, some of them are assistant scoutmasters, but you might have a parent who wants to come, but they haven't been registered in the BSA before. So we just want to make sure that all of our adults are registered in the BSA, and that's what I'm talking about here, Brown. So thank you for that. Chad, is there a timeline in mind of when camp would be canceled? We really don't have, again, with everything being as fast moving and fast paced as things are with this situation, we're not going to be really having any decisions made about that until May. We want to be at least 30 days out, and right now we're looking at about 60 to 90, depending on what session you're looking at. So we want to make sure that we have all the information available to us before we make any decisions. We have been working with the executive board and some other folks on what are some alternative plans if we need to push back a week, if we need to push back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what are different options that we have available. I'll just say we'll cross those bridges when we get there. but those are things that we're looking at. We want to make sure that even if we have to delay opening of camp, that we're still able to have as much of a summer experience as we can. Because in reality, I mean, we know, I mean, if you're anything like me, I've been getting sick and tired and getting really uptight about having to sit in one house for the entire day, and getting out to camp is going to be an absolute blessing for a lot of folks, just to be able to get out of the house and forget that cabin fever. And so we want to make sure that we're providing that, but making sure that we're doing that is done in a safe way, that we're not exposing other folks. Larry, when are we going to be notified about camperships? The campership decisions were reviewed and made earlier this week. My goal was to have those notifications out prior to tonight. That's not necessarily, obviously that didn't happen. Those will be going out tomorrow. And so it'll be in a similar format to last year, where those decisions will be given to the leader in, whether the scoutmaster or the committee chair in that troop, whoever the main contact is for camp. And if that main contact isn't the committee chair or scoutmaster, I'll make sure I clue them in as well. Those amounts that were awarded and granted to individuals have already been uploaded into the Black Pug software. So for those who have already been registered for camp, we did have a number of applicants who applied for camperships, but their unit was not registered for camp. So we can't award those necessarily until we have a deposit in for that individual scout to be added to the roster, or for the troop overall to be added as a, hey, we're coming to camp, because I need to know what week to come in and whatnot. So Steve, can you please have a better weather for OA tap-out plan? So I'm going to defer to that, to the Order of the Arrow themselves. That is something that is, as much as it happens during the confines of summer camp, that is really their show, and the only decision that I have is working with them in terms of, are we a go in terms of at the main OA field, or are we looking at an alternative plan in terms of weather or whatnot. Anything beyond that is really something that I would defer to the folks with the OA on. Stay home gets extended in May. It's possible to have a family or two, schedule times to go into camp. Yep, Rich, we're looking at all sorts of options right now. I know we had a work weekend in April that got canceled because of, again, with the stay-at-home orders. We need to make sure that that is something that is addressed, because, again, we need to make sure that our camp is ready to go, and that there are things that need to happen to get the property ready, so that way when we get to camp is going to be going. So right now, Beaver Day is still planned for May 30th, for that Saturday. That is still planned for right now. The idea and the hope is that maybe have one or two extra weekends before that, if we're able to get in there and to do some things ahead of time. But really, we're limited to what the governor, what the president, what the CDC are all saying of what we can do in terms of getting into camp and being able to congregate in groups of 10 or more. Let's see. Chris, does a parent have the ability to go in Black Pug and pay for their Scouts camp fee? At this time, the Black Pug software is really, it's a couple of, twofold really. You have the opportunity to have events like summer camp or the camporee, where it's really a contingent registration, meaning that one person goes in and registers the entire group for that particular activity or event. It also will be able to accommodate for individual things. So when you're looking at like a Merit Badge College, if you're looking at a training event, like a Baloo or an IOLS, where it's individuals training or individuals signing up for an event, it's able to accommodate those things too. But you almost have to choose one or the other when you're going through the way of setting the system up. It gets tricky. So again, that's why I'm saying, if you have folks that you want to add to your troop registration, the best way to do that is by going into your existing registration and clicking Add Attendee, as opposed to having another person going in and adding a new troop registration for that. It gets really muddy in terms of going in there and merging those in, and we just want to make sure that that's not happening, because that's not really the way that it's designed for. It's designed specifically for a singular point person with that email address, with that registration number to go in to the unit's account and make any adjustments to registration stuff, make any adjustments to payments, and any data entry that needs to go in there. Sabrina, that number again, it's on the screen, which is my cell phone number, which is area code 585-409-0622. It's my cell phone. So I'll have that with me while I'm here at home and whatnot. So again, that's you can either call that number, text that number, whatever works best, and I will be able to pick up. All right, what are the prerequisites this year, and where do we find them? I am definitely working with the advancement committee right now. Again, things are a little bit up in the air with having some time away from the office, and as we were adapting and responding to COVID, we were in the middle of prerequisites, and that conversation hasn't concluded yet. Therefore, the PDF isn't available. Once that is finished and when that is finalized, they're going to be uploaded obviously into BlackPug. But like last year, we're going to have a PDF available on the website, so you can go in and look and see by program area, by session, what are the specific things that they need to have ready in terms of be prepared requirements, which are things that we're still going to cover at camp, but it's definitely going to help to have the scouts go in and review what are 3 career activity, careers that are associated with welding, for example. We're still going to talk about that, but being able to do a little bit of research ahead of time is going to really help out the ability to have that conversation. So that'd be prepared example, whereas a prerequisite would be earn the totem chip or earn, show proof of your cyber chip or something along those lines. So we'll have both of those available in a PDF format like last year, as well as integrated into the BlackPug system. All right, Dennis, thank you for commenting on the OA meeting to discuss the inclement weather thing. And Chad, unit leader can register the scout and make a down payment and then send their parent a link to the parent portal for a parent to make parents. Wonderful, yeah, so I wasn't sure actually with the parent portal, again, with this being a new system. Chad, I'm really, really glad that you were able to find that out. So one of the things that is in the system that I didn't really cover tonight is the parent portal concept. So that is up to each individual troop to whether or not they want to activate that. That's something we've made it available to the units, but it's up to each individual unit on whether or not they want to send that out as well. So to be able to access that sort of thing, I'm going to go back really quickly to the web page, even if I can't get it fully operational. All right, so if we're looking up here, there is a thing called Parent Portal right here. So if I click on it, it might work. So it'll give you information on, so the Parent Portal is an optional feature that allows you to provide parents with access to just their scouts part of the registration, make payments, and complete data entry. So excellent. So you have the opportunity when you're in here, you need to click this box to activate Parent Portal, and then by going in here, each scout will have their own unique password that they will need to, the individual will need to enter in once they go to the Parent Portal section. And by entering in that password, it'll ensure that that scout is only getting access to that scout's information. So that is a wonderful tool. So Chad, thank you so much for finding that. That was one of the things that I haven't really had the chance to dive into quite yet. One thing that I did want to mention though with BlackPug is if you ever get stuck or if you ever get confused or anything along those lines, on the bottom right hand corner, there's always going to be a support tab. If you click on that, there's always going to be some form of YouTube videos or multiple YouTube videos. So here's Parents Guide, Unit Leaders Guide on Parent Portal. Here's information on how to create the My Account, which again is up here to create an account, which will give you access into all this stuff. How to create an event registration, how do you go through the process of registering for any of these sorts of things. So if you go through any of these things and you don't want to listen to my voice talk for an hour and a half, or for whatever reason. These are typically no longer than 4 minutes, if that, and really straight to the point, and really informative in terms of being able to get the information that you need. The Black Pug software was actually downloaded, or it was actually created rather, by scouting volunteers. They started in a couple of different councils and were a little bit frustrated with, hey, we didn't have what we needed to do in order to have registration in an online setting for our camporees, for our different events, for our summer camps. And so what they ended up doing was working together to create this system, and they've been working at it for a number of years. The Boy Scouts are the only group that they work with, so it's not like, oh, well, this is designed for a whole bunch of different corporations and they just happen to do scouting on the side. Scouting is the only thing that Black Pug focuses on, so they're able to really understand our language, understand what our needs are, and when we have specific questions or anything like that, we are definitely able to benefit from the years of experience that they've had building up to this point, and being able to do that. So highly recommend everything that they do. All right, thanks. We registered and submitted the deposit for each scout attending. Will those amounts be preloaded into Black Pug? Yes, they will, Steve. And again, more than happy to take the time. If anybody wants to have a one-on-one where you got me on the phone and you're looking at the computer screen, I can be looking at it from my end too. Definitely want to make sure that everybody's feeling as comfortable with this system as we can, because it is a new system. We're all still learning it, and we're all gonna figure it out together, but it's definitely gonna be a step in the right direction towards getting what we need to. But everything that you've registered, submitted, paid for up to this point, whether that was by paper when you mailed it into the office, or whether you've initiated your system, your registration online, it is all on Black Pug right now. So we're really in a good spot in terms of being able to administratively get ready for camp. Yes, definitely. If the shutdown continues into June and pushes camp back, and some boys who have been paid now can't due to conflicts, will they get refunds? Yes, we will definitely be looking to be as accommodating as we can with that. I mean, just like we have been with the any units that have had different cabin rentals throughout the months of March and April. We want to make sure that we're working with everybody. Everything that's been going on with COVID it's not anybody's fault, and we definitely don't want to punish anybody because of something that none of us could have ever predicted or none of us could have ever seen coming. And so we just want to make sure that what we're doing as scouting and as a Susquehanna Council is as pro-youth as possible. With that, it looks like we're almost we're slowing down here with our group chat and with our questions. If you have any last minute questions, please encourage you to type those in. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Dennis here really quickly, putting him on the spot here, so I apologize. But Dennis, are there any last minute things or anything that you want to address the group with, whether it's related to summer camp, whether it's related to COVID-19 or just anything in general?
No, number one, I want to say thanks to the 45 or 50 people that I saw registered and were part of this event. I'm glad that we're able to share what we know as we know it. It's a big thank you to Kate and Jake and everybody that keep following us on Facebook, keep watching our web pages. We are trying to put out information as fast as we get it. There are decisions that are made by the state at 9 o'clock in the morning that are different by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So some of the things that you have very valid questions, when we can get a solid answer in writing, we are more than happy to share with the group what the final result will be.
That must have been one of the first ones that signed in.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dennis. And yeah, there was a final question here. It says, if camp ends up getting canceling, will there be refunds? Yes, absolutely. We, if this is canceled because of the COVID-19 situation, again, that's not anything that is your fault. So we're not going to hold anybody financially liable for any of those things. So yes, we will end up issuing refunds in the event that camp does get canceled. All right. With that, if you have any other questions, I encourage you to please give me a call or text on my cell phone, again, 585-409-0622, or give me an email at jacob.horner@scouting.org. Be more than happy to address any questions, comments, or concerns that you might have about summer camp, about anything in scouting related to COVID-19 or just in general. We definitely want to make sure that we are doing all that we can to help you guys out during this unique time in our country's history. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight and for all your help. And we are looking forward to a great summer.